Hi, this is just a quick update from Amanda, from me. Okay, the podcast you're about to watch I filmed about 4 weeks ago and never got time to put up. So it is quite out of date, but I haven't recorded anything since. I'm hoping to record something next week, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put this podcast up anyway. So it's from about 4 weeks ago maybe, and then hopefully I'll catch up with you maybe in the next week or two. Bye for now. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Little Likac episode 99. My name is Amanda and I'm coming to you from Derby in the United Kingdom. I am a knitter, bit of a crocheter, and if you like knitting and crochet, then this is a channel for you. If you're not into knitting and crochet, this is going to be very boring. So yeah, welcome. Today is a Saturday the 20th of September. I had to really think about that then. Saturday 20th of September, and the lighting and everything in here is weird because it is dark, because it's 10 to 8 in the evening. Not really a great time to podcast in terms of lighting, etc. So sorry about that, guys. It's just the way today has been. I have been really busy today. It is a week till Yarndale, which will be the biggest yarn show I have ever done. And today I was printing out copies of my patterns. I'm trying to think, price lists, things like that for Yarndale, labelling. And then also it is Advent season in respect for yarn dyers. We are busy putting together Advent calendars. So again, there were lots of small things that needed doing for that. So I had record a podcast on my to-do list, and it's now 10 to 8 and I've only just got to it. I have still got dyeing to do tomorrow as well. So after I have finished filming this podcast, I'm going to watch the Strictly launch show. I will watch that on playback, and while I'm doing that I will be prepping yarn, soaking it, ready to do some dyeing tomorrow. So yeah, it's really busy. So anyway, I have got to show you 2 finished objects this evening. That's quite exciting, and a little bit of progress on some whips. I think it's going to be a relatively short podcast today, maybe only 20-25 minutes, which would be really short for me. But I thought I would pop by and say hello to everybody. I have been back at school a few weeks now. Now, the last time I filmed the podcast, I think actually I filmed on a day, and I might even have said that I'd got a sore throat. And I ended up feeling really ill by the middle of that week. So on the Sunday I started to feel ill. The Monday, Tuesday I felt really ill at work. The Tuesday evening I actually took a COVID test and tested positive for COVID. And the reason why I decided to do a COVID test was because I knew of other people who, all over the country, who had been testing positive for COVID. And I was feeling really rough, and so yeah, I did a COVID test. So I did actually take a day off work. Went back, I only took the one day, but so I'm still, even, what is it now, 2 weeks later, 10 days later, I'm still not 100% over it, I don't think, but because it does knock you for 6, doesn't it? I knew it was more than a cold. I thought I'd got proper flu, but anyway, that's what it turned out to be. So knitting progress, I have been busy working away on things, and obviously you can probably see, well, you can see this is not a finished object from recent. That's been there for a few, that's been finished a couple of years, but that's just hanging up over the shelving unit here of my husband's, which has got really uninteresting things on it. So I just put that over. That's the anthology throw that I used, leftovers and scraps. Anyway, so yes, the finished object is what I am wearing. Ta-da! And it is my Radvent cardigan. Now, as I said, the lighting is a little bit bright and glaring, so it's kind of washing the colours out a little bit. But the Radvent cardigan is a pattern by Ambah O'Brien. I took a little bit of video, it's not great, but I did a bit of video before I started recording the podcast of me sort of kind of showing the full cardigan, so I'll put that up while I'm talking. So yes, I used the 2024 Little Likac Advent, which was called The Colour Purple, and it was 24 shades of purple. And so yes, this cardigan is quite an unusual construction. You start off with the cuff of one sleeve, so this was the main skein for the Advent. So you start off with the cuff, in the round, and then you knit one sleeve and across the back to the middle, and then you do the other side and then graft them together, and then you pick up the stitches. So last time you saw this, I think I was like 3/4 of the way through the second sleeve. I knew and I was fairly confident that, oh, had I actually even picked up the ribbing stitches? Possibly. Anyway, it is obviously finished. I love it. It's so much fun. I'm definitely going to be wearing this at Yarndale next weekend. So if you are coming to Yarndale, you should be able to spot my, well, you'll be able to spot my stand anyway, because it has a lot of purple on it, but I will be wearing this over whatever I choose to wear. I'll probably be wearing my purple dungarees. I've got some kind of lilac-y lavender dungarees I often wear to yarn shows, and probably with this over the top. I'm just going to take it off as well now and show you the buttons that I put on, because the buttons were a perfect choice, so just bear with. Okay, so the buttons were a perfect choice. We see these. So they are purple and a little bit sparkly. I didn't use the sparkle yarn for my Radvent. I used the little Likac Luxury 4-ply, which is 85% merino wool, superwash, and 15% nylon. It's just a little bit plumper than a standard 75/25. So there we go, we can see some of the colours there. I'm really so pleased with how this came out. If I'm honest, I really wanted to knit it to kind of showcase the Advent from last year, and I think it's going to be perfect for that. Perfect to wear at yarn shows, perfect to wear around the house. I'm not sure that I would wear it out and about in general life, but absolutely perfect for yarn shows. And it's just really comfortable. I knitted the 47-inch size. I think that might be in size 5. I decided, because I wasn't 100% sure if the gauge was going to be quite right, so I decided to go up a size rather than down a size, you know, and it seems to be a really good fit, so I'm really happy with it. Ta-da! So that's the Radvent Throw. It's by Ambah. Oh, not the Radvent Throw. I have knitted that as well. The Radvent Cardigan. It's by Ambah O'Brien. Okay, so the next finished object I've got to show you. Had I started this? No, I hadn't started this. I dyed the yarn for it on the Sunday 2 weeks ago, and then the yarn was dry. What did I do on the Saturday? Anyway, literally the yarn was dry within about 48 hours, and I got cracking with this, because this is a test knit for a lovely designer. Handknit by Sam is the designer's name. I'm just going to take off this progress keeper actually, because that wasn't where I got where it was up to before. So yeah, Handknit by Sam. This is the Lucky Dip Dot Shawl. I think she might have designed a pair of socks, maybe using the same. I want to say no, no. Ignore me, I'm talking rubbish. Anyway, it's the Lucky Dip Dot Shawl. The pattern doesn't come out until the very beginning of October. I loved the shawl when I saw her version of it, and I just had in my head that I wanted to dye up some yarn specially for it. I had in my head like a pinky purple with maybe a dusky pink, and then I went with kind of like almost like a lime green, and so here it is. Now it needs blocking. Alright, so it's a little bit weird in the middle here, which I hope will block out. I'm sure it will block out. So it's just a little bit of a strange sort of shape there, so it needs blocking. It's done with mosaic knitting. Now I use my sparkle sock for the 100-gram skein, the main purple, and then the dusky, the sort of like the pink and the green are just in my standard, not sparkles, just 75/25. It's mosaic here, and then it has a picot edge. So it needs blocking. That's not going to happen until later in the week, and the end sewing in, but I will have it blocked. I'm taking it to Yarndale with me because I have got, I dyed up some extra of these 3 colours, and I'm hoping other people will like it too, but so you can't buy the pattern until the beginning of October. I'm sure I will put on my Instagram when it is out, when the pattern itself is released. So I want to say, might be the 1st of October, or it might be the end of that week. So it might be like more like the 4th or 5th of October. It will be a paid for pattern, so I don't want to say too much about it, but you start here, and you just do your increases in the middle and increases at the end, and then you go into the mosaic. And it is garter stitch, and it was such a quick knit, honestly, such a quick knit. I haven't actually tried it on, I haven't actually seen what it looks like. So this will be coming to Yarndale. I probably won't be wearing it, I will probably have it on display on the stand. So, isn't it lovely? I thought it was such a lovely pattern, and I am really pleased with these colours. I feel like they are actually quite autumnal colours. And it's just something a little bit different, isn't it? Really pretty. So thank you, Sam, for allowing me to test knit for you. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this has come out. I hope you guys like it too. I put up on Instagram this afternoon because I'm having to name so many colourways at the moment, and after a while I have to admit my creativity, is it just me? But I really love those colours. I liked them, then I asked other people, and my husband and daughter were kind of like, not sure about that green, so I dyed a different colour up, and we were like, no, it needs to, we went back to the green. So anyway, so I put on my Instagram, not stories, just on my Instagram account, so for people to give me some ideas of what to call this set. So this is what I've got left over. I haven't actually weighed it to see how much I've got left over. I'm sure Sam would like to know that, so I'll have to do that. So I've got this left over of the sparkle, and then green and the pink. So yes, I asked people on Instagram to give me some ideas to what to call this set, and I had lots of lovely responses, so thank you very, very much if you responded. And I've actually gone with Secret Garden. That is what I'm calling this set of these 3, so 100 grams skein, and then 2 20 grams. At the moment it's not listed on Etsy. I have been terrible at getting stuff listed up on Etsy. I find it really difficult to take photos. It takes me a while to try and get photos because it's trying to get the colour correct, and then even sometimes I take a photo and then when I load, and it looks really close on my camera, and then when I've loaded the picture up onto Etsy, when Etsy's processed that photo, it changes slightly anyway. So yeah, anyway, so this isn't listed on Etsy yet. I'm taking it to Yarndale next weekend. I did make a note of the colours and everything, so if it sells out at Yarndale, my plan is to dye up some more before the next show, and get it onto Etsy as well. So yes, it is repeatable. So I've got it on the sparkle base and the soft sock base as a choice. Anyway, so yes, I've called it Secret Garden. The shawl was knitted on 2 different size needles. I want to say 3.5 and then 4mm needles, I think, or 4mm then 4.5. Maybe it was 3.75 and 4mm needles. Anyway, a lovely pattern, really simple, knitted up really quickly. Can you tell I love it? So yes, come and have a look at it at Yarndale if you're coming to visit, or at Staffordshire. I'll be at the Stafford Wool Gathering in the middle of October, or at the very end of October, beginning of November, I will be down in Kent at Whitstable. So the plan is to have it at all 3 of those shows, and if I need to dye up some more kits or sets, it won't be kits because it won't include the pattern. You have to buy the pattern separately, or use the set for your own pattern. You could use it even as a sock set if you wanted to. Okay, So those are my two finished objects, and I'm really pleased to have both of those finished. I have a new cast on to show you, and I also have an old whip that I picked up and worked on. I have a feeling there may have been another whip that I worked on briefly, but I'm not sure what it is, and I suspect I've put it back in the drawers, so or the cupboard. So I will show you an old whip that I did pull out to work on. I don't believe that I showed this to you last time. Again, did I? Did I? Really ought to keep show notes. Anyway, this is the beaded mitts. Oh, I did mention this. I think I did mention this. I at least mentioned that I'm planning on carrying on with them. So this is the beaded mitts, fingerless, beaded fingerless mitts. And it's designed by Jemima Bicknell. I love the name Jemima. For the company UK Alpaca. And it was one of my 12 cast-ons from earlier this year. It was cast-on number 5. And I decided to set myself the target to try and finish this by the end of September. And when you saw this last, did I show it to you? Anyway, the last time you saw it, whenever that was how much I'd got done. But now look, I have a completed fingerless mitt. Only one at the moment. This is actually the left mitt, because the cables go different ways. But I'm going to put it on my right hand actually because of my watch. So this is where it was before, and that's my number 5 stitch marker because it was day 5 of my 12 cast-ons. So this is knitted with alpaca 4-ply, and I think it's an alpaca silk blend. It is a beautiful pattern, absolutely beautiful. What I was surprised about is that it does even tell you to put the beads even over the palm, which I kind of expected them not to. I kind of expected after this section, the wrist section, for them to say not to put the beads on for where the palm would be, but it didn't say that, so I carried on doing the beads. It's even got beads down the sort of this part of the thumb, and I just think it is absolutely beautiful. I did debate doing them a bit longer. Maybe I should have done them a little bit longer, I don't know, but they're so pretty. I am using the dental floss method for putting the beads on, and the lovely Sarah, who I was on a Zoom group with last weekend actually, she said that she preloads the beads onto the dental floss, which was not something I was doing, but I am now doing it, and it really did speed things up. So it's not a beginner pattern because you've got cable and lace and beading going on, and you're knitting it in the round, which knitting it in the round to me doesn't make it more complicated, but I know for some people it does. So yeah, so you've got cable, lace and beading going on, so it's definitely not a beginner pattern, but I must admit I did get quicker and quicker with it, especially once I had preloaded the beads onto the dental floss. So the second one is started. I cast that on last night. So it's the 20th today. I've got, what, 10-11 days left of September, including Yarndale. But I'm going to challenge myself to try and have this finished by the end of September. So I've done the rib. It's twisted rib. And I've just started the first repeat of the pattern. So I'm going to move that progress keeper. And I would love to have this second mitten finished by the time I see you guys in 2 weeks' time. It'll make me very happy. So that's the aim, but I have got something else that needs finishing by the end of September as well, so we will see whether they both get done. So my yarn, my needle cozy came from the lovely Jo from Piccalilli. You may have seen her. She has an Etsy shop and you may have seen her at various yarn shows. And it matches this bag, which actually came from Bellica Yarns. So I bought this at one show and bought this at another show because I was like, oh, I know I have got a bag in that fabric. So they're a lovely matching set. Now the yarn that I'm using, and the beads. It all came as a kit with the pattern, and it is alpaca, alpaca baby 4-ply, 80% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and the colourway I think is lavender. Yeah, the shade is just lavender. It is really beautiful. As I say, I bought the beads, the yarn, and the pattern all together as a kit. So now we come on to the new cast on. So the other, well, the shawl was a new cast on and a finished object. But the other thing that I need to get knitted for the end of the month is my socks for the Socks In You Know It Make Along. And guys, I'm going to be really honest and say I am struggling at the moment to keep up with the admin on that at the moment. So I'm not even sure if I've opened the September thread. I will aim to get that opened. And I know that I probably should be drawing another winner this for this episode. But I'm behind. It will happen. And I'm also, at the moment, I'm thinking I will not be continuing it next year into January. I have to sometimes remind myself that I have a full-time job and a part-time job, and you know, I can't do everything. So, and certainly at the moment I'm finding just that little bit of admin of putting the thread up on, opening up the thread on Ravelry and things like that a little bit too much. I think maybe this time last year I struggled to keep up with it as well. Anyway, but I am aiming still to knit a pair of socks each month, and I showed you the yarn in the last podcast, which is this, which was the Andknit Quality Feet, and it is a yak blend. So the company is Andknit, and it is self-striping yarn, 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon. So I have started it. I'm knitting it on 2.5mm needles. I haven't even got the leg of the first sock quite finished yet, but here it is, knitting up. It is lovely, look at that, really lovely. I think I'm going to work on that this evening once I've got the yarn in to soak, and I'm sat there maybe with a glass of wine and the launch show for Strictly. I believe these socks will be what I work on. So I'm just putting a stitch marker, progress keeper, on there so we can see the progress that gets made over the next couple of weeks. I am not confident on getting these finished. I mean, again, I've got 11 days, so there should be plenty of time. I'm not getting as much knitting time as I would like at the moment. But look how beautifully it goes with the bag. Look at how the colours of the socks. I love it when the colours of your project and the colours of your project bag. Look how well they go together. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, so absolutely fabulous. I set myself a challenge to try and get a number of whips finished before the end of the year. And the lovely Ange from Yarn and Yarns is doing a thing as well where she's concentrating over the next few months on finishing projects. What's she calling it? Finishing Frenzy. And actually what I had done maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago was I drew out a grid, and I kind of worked out what projects I still needed to start and finish, hopefully by the end of the year. And I picked out some whips as well that I would like to get finished by the end of the year. Excuse me. It includes the blanket squares that I'm doing that I still haven't done very many of. But I broke that down into monthly, so I kind of went the June blanket squares, the July blanket squares, and I added those in as well. So although they wouldn't be a finished object, I could kind of tick them off when I had done the 4 squares for that in that month's colour. So I then drew it out into a grid, and then I'm shading them in as I get them finished. And in August I only got one thing. Mind you, I only started this when I came back from holiday, so it was only probably in the last week of August. So this is what my bingo grid looks like. My grid looks like, it's all done in pencil actually. And the only thing that got finished at the end by the end of August were a pair of socks, swimming work socks. And so they're coloured in green. Oh yeah, sorry, that's really bright. I can't, that's just glaring. Anyway, so that's coloured in green for August. And then I have got 3 things ticked off for September, which is the Radvent cardigan, my mum's scarf, which I showed you last podcast, and the test knit shawl. So they are there, there and there. I did randomly write the things in that I wanted to get done, and I then kind of said to myself, oh, I can play with this now to try and, you know, colour in a line and whatever. But I think actually I did it really badly, because there were things on here including November socks, December socks, and I just can't see that I'm going to get any line either across or down completed until December. And also there's a few things on here, there's no way they're going to get finished by the end of Christmas, but I'm just going to see maybe how many lines I can get completed by the end of Christmas. The beaded mitts are on there, all of these blanket squares, so the July blanket squares, August, September, August, September, all still need doing. I have a friend at work who would like me to knit something for her grandson and granddaughter. I would like to do those for her for Christmas, so I've added those on. The granddaughter is only a baby, the grandson I think is about 4, so I need to choose something perhaps an Aran weight, so it'll knit up quickly, or even chunky. And again, I don't particularly though want to go out and buy. I know I've definitely got some kind of beige Aran weight yarn, and maybe some pink as well. So anyway, yes, so a cardigan or a jumper for a 1-year-old isn't going to take too much time, and it shouldn't for a 4-year-old either, as long as I keep it relatively simple. So I need to have a look through my patterns for those. What else is on here? The Nancy vest, which is that complex colourwork vest that I showed you last time, and the run sweater were both on here. There's just no way that both of those are going to be completed before Christmas or the end of the year, but maybe I could get one of them done. But what I have pulled out to show you is perhaps another object that's on here, which again originally I'd said I wanted to get finished by the end of September. Not going to happen, but I do definitely want to pick them up again, and these are my Daedalus socks. And now I'm just looking at it again going, oh, I don't think I'd realised just how much of this first sock I have done. It's lovely, isn't it? So this is a pattern by Kelly from Row and Cades, and yeah, at the beginning of September I'd said that I wanted to have these finished by the end of September. Haven't actually done any work on them yet, but I'm halfway through the beaded mitts. So the beaded mitts, if I finish the beaded mitts and I finish the September socks, this will be what gets pulled out next to work on. Yeah, now there's no progress keeper on here, and I'm kind of looking around to see if I've got another progress keeper down here. Don't believe I have. Have I got one in here? No. Anyway, the yarns I'm using for this is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the Silent Night colourway, and I think this one, we'll have a look. It's white. What's it actually called? Marshmallow. I thought it was called Marshmallow, but there's one of my other yarns in a different project is called Marshmallow, and it's a pale pink. But yeah, so Marshmallow and Silent Night are the two colours I'm using for this. The Silent Night is sparkly. It was the Christmas yarn from West Yorkshire Spinners a few years ago, and it is looking beautiful. Oh, I was just thinking the mulled wine would look amazing with this, wouldn't it, in colour work, in something like the Daedalus socks. Oh, there's an idea. So I need to find a progress keeper so I can pop on there and show you the progress on that. So yes, so yeah, my plan at the moment is to try and kind of focus on maybe 3 or 4 projects each week. Something that is near completion. So in this case, I guess for the next week, the beaded mitts are the closest to completion. Something, what else? Oh, something with a deadline, that will be the September socks, and then something that is older. So I guess the Daedalus socks will be the older. And I really should work on some blanket squares. That's kind of like an ongoing, and it gets added to the list, but everything else just seems to take priority because everything else, the test knit did have a deadline, the September socks have got a deadline, the Radvent cardigan had a deadline, so yeah, everything feels like it's got deadlines. One of my very first podcast episodes was called something like, what was it? What did I actually call it? It was about giving myself too many deadlines and taking on too many things. That was what, probably 4 or 5 years ago. Some things don't change, do they? Anyway, this is episode 99, which means next episode is episode 100. I would love to do something special for that. I haven't given it any thought yet, but I guess we will do a giveaway. So I will have to choose something to give away. But yes, I will we'll definitely do something special for episode 100, because yeah, 100 episodes of me wittering on about my knitting, plus all the little vlogs and things. I've actually filmed and put up nearly 200 videos, but 100 of them are kind of your traditional knitting podcasts, and the others are where I've done vlogs. I didn't do a vlog last year. I had planned on doing vlogging in November last year, but if you remember, it was when I'd broken my elbow. I am hoping I will vlog this year in November though. That is my plan. Because by then, Advents will have gone out. The last of my yarn shows for this year is at the beginning of November, so it will be a good time to vlog. Right, my lovely people, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the likes, everything. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that I'm not doing anything with the knit along this episode, but I just haven't got the headspace for it right now, and I have to listen to myself sometimes. And I, rather than putting off filming the podcast because of it, I was just like, well, I'll just film the podcast and just be honest. All right, that's what you get with me. Reality. Okay, lovely people, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And if you're coming to Yarndale, please come and say hello. Bye.